At the beginning of the story, we see a village where the people, every year on the night of the full moon, leave lifeless animals outside their homes so that the wolf residing in the cave outside the village would prey on those animals instead of attacking the villagers. Now, we see a girl named Valerie, who always used to meet a boy named Peter under the pretense of fetching water. They were very good friends and would secretly meet each other every day, away from the eyes of the villagers. Over time, their friendship turned into love, and 10 years had passed since they fell for each other. Peter and Valerie had now grown up. Peter worked as a woodcutter in the village and still met Valerie in secret. However, this time, Peter learns that Valerie is about to marry a boy named Henry, who worked as a blacksmith in the village. Their marriage was arranged because Henry, besides being a blacksmith, came from a wealthy family, which meant that after the wedding, Valerie's mother would receive a large sum of money. Moreover, Valerie's mother believed that Valerie would also be happy with Henry. Peter tells Valerie that they should run away somewhere far where they can live together, and Valerie agrees. She is even ready to leave her family behind for Peter. As soon as they are about to flee on horseback, the church bell rings in the village, signaling that the wolf has killed someone. When Valerie asks the villagers who has died this time, they tell her that the wolf has killed her sister. Hearing this, Valerie is completely shattered. She cannot believe that her sister Lucy could be dead. But when she sees everyone mourning Lucy's death, she is forced to accept the reality. Henry also arrives, bringing flowers for Lucy as a tribute, but Valerie does not even look at him. She has no interest in him. Henry, along with his friend, leaves the place. After he leaves, Valerie's mother tells her that before marriage, she also loved another man. But after marrying her father, Césaire, she eventually grew to love him. As the villagers continue talking, Valerie discovers that Lucy was also in love with Henry. But when Lucy found out that Henry loved Valerie instead and wanted to marry her, she decided to take her own life. Valerie had no idea about any of this. Lucy never told her about her love for Henry. When Peter arrives to pay tribute to Lucy, Valerie's mother, knowing about Valerie and Peter's love for each other, sternly tells Peter to stay away from her daughter because he has nothing to earn and cannot take care of Valerie properly. Hearing all this, Peter leaves. Meanwhile, Henry's friends rally the village men, saying, "How long will we keep living in fear of the wolf? We must hunt it down and free ourselves from this terror." Everyone agrees. They want to get rid of the wolf at any cost. They decide to go after it at night. One man suggests waiting for Father Solomon, who can help them kill the wolf, but no one listens to him. They all set out to hunt the dangerous wolf. As they leave, Valerie tells Peter to take care of himself, saying, "I've already lost Lucy. I don't want to lose you too." But Peter coldly tells her, "From now on, our paths are different. You should marry Henry." Valerie cannot understand why Peter is suddenly acting this way. Meanwhile, Henry meets Valerie one last time before the hunt and gifts her a bracelet before leaving. As the villagers head into the jungle, Valerie secretly follows them. In the middle of the forest, there is her grandmother's house, where Valerie stops and tells her grandmother, "Lucy was my sister, yet I never knew she loved Henry." Her grandmother explains, "Every person has secrets they don't share with anyone." She then gives Valerie a beautiful red dress, telling her to wear it at her wedding. However, Valerie responds, "It doesn't feel like a wedding. It feels like I am being sold." Meanwhile, the villagers continue their hunt, reaching the caves in the mountains where they believe the dangerous wolf resides. They split into two groups when they come across two diverging paths. But further ahead, they encounter another fork in the road. This time, Henry insists that they should stick together, but Peter refuses and takes another path. This forces Henry and his father to take a different route. Suddenly, the wolf attacks Henry's father, killing him. However, before it can do more harm, the rest of the villagers arrive and manage to kill a wolf. On the other side, Valerie wakes up from a terrible nightmare. She leaves her grandmother's house and heads toward the village, unaware that something is secretly watching her and following her into her grandmother's home. Upon reaching the village, Valerie sees everyone celebrating, believing they have killed the wolf. But Henry's family is not rejoicing. His father has died. Valerie goes to Henry to console him, saying, "Your father was very brave. He must have fought the wolf courageously." Henry, filled with guilt, tells her, "I was so close to the wolf, but I was too scared to save my own father." Overcome with anger and sadness, Henry tells Valerie to leave. At that moment, Valerie notices her mother mourning Henry's father's death deeply, and she realizes that before marriage, her mother had loved Henry's father. Valerie confronts her mother, asking, "Why didn't Lucy and Henry get married?" Her mother reveals the shocking truth. Lucy was Henry's father's daughter, meaning Henry and Lucy were half-siblings. This is why their marriage never happened. Valerie's father, Césaire, always believed Lucy was his daughter, but in reality, she was Henry's father's child. Soon, Father Solomon arrives in the village with his entire army. accompanied by his 2 children. His wife had been killed by a wolf, fueling his relentless mission to hunt and eliminate all dangerous wolves. However, the villagers insist they have already killed the wolf and no longer need his help. But Solomon warns them, "This is not the wolf that has been terrorizing your village." The villagers refuse to believe him, arguing, "For generations, we have fought against this wolf. We know which wolf was preying on our people." To make them understand, Solomon shares his story. "My wife was also killed by a wolf. On a full moon night, when I was hunting the beast with my friends, it killed many of them. However, during the fight, I managed to break the wolf's paw, which I still keep with me. Any human who is bitten by a wolf on the night of a full moon will turn into a wolf permanently. That's what happened to my wife. I had no choice but to kill her with my own hands." My children believe their mother's death was caused by a wolf. One of Solomon's men then tells the villagers that every 13 years, a blood moon night occurs. On this night, if the werewolf bites a human, that person will also turn into a wolf. Normally, a wolf bite only kills, but during the blood moon, it has the power to transform humans into wolves. This terrifying transformation lasts for 3 days. The villagers are warned to stay indoors for these 3 days, or else the beast might turn someone into one of its own. Despite the warning, the villagers refuse to listen. They still believe they have already killed the right wolf. Solomon, however, warns them, "This wolf won't die so easily because it can change its form into a human. That monster is hiding among you, living as one of the villagers." Hearing this, fear creeps into everyone's hearts for a moment, but soon, they decide to celebrate the supposed victory, believing the danger is over. As night falls, the villagers come out of their homes and begin rejoicing. They have no idea that they are about to face a much greater threat. During the celebration, Valerie notices Peter dancing with another girl. Wanting to make him jealous, she starts dancing with her friend. She wants to show Peter that she is happy without him, but deep down, she is heartbroken. Henry, enraged, shoves Peter and accuses him. "You ran away into the caves, which is why my father died." The two start fighting, but Valerie intervenes and stops them. Later, she confronts Peter, asking, "You don't love that girl, so why are you dancing with her?" Peter ignores her question, saying, "I can't give you expensive gifts." Valerie replies, "I don't want anything from you," and moves closer to him. Peter cannot resist her, and they share a kiss. Unbeknownst to them, Henry sees them kissing. Soon, more people arrive, forcing Peter and Valerie to leave. Meanwhile, as the villagers continue celebrating, the real and powerful werewolf attacks. It starts slaughtering many people. Solomon and his men, who were prepared for such an event, try to capture the beast, but it is far too strong. Solomon exclaims, "I have never seen a wolf this powerful. We need a plan to kill it." Furious, he turns to the villagers and yells, "I told you the real wolf was still out there, but no one listened to me." On the other hand, Valerie goes into hiding with her friend Roxanne in a house, but suddenly, a werewolf appears before them and starts talking to Valerie. The werewolf even knows Valerie's name. When Valerie looks into its brown eyes, she feels like she has seen them somewhere before. The werewolf then tells her that she must come with him, or he will bring a bloodbath upon the entire village. Just then, Solomon's men arrive to capture the werewolf, but as the werewolf flees, he warns Valerie that he will return on the blood moon night. After this, he disappears. Roxanne then questions Valerie, saying that she was talking to the werewolf, but she couldn't understand their conversation. This means that whatever the werewolf said to Valerie was incomprehensible to Roxanne. The next day, the entire village is mourning. Dead bodies of people are scattered everywhere. Solomon declares that this beast is extremely powerful and that this bloody cycle has been continuing for generations. He states that each new generation is becoming stronger than the previous one. He then asserts that the beast must currently be in human form and has not gone too far from the village. Solomon orders a thorough search of the entire village. Just then, one of Solomon's injured men tries to get up. His brother helps him by giving him water, but Solomon insists that, since it is the time of the blood moon, this man will also turn into a beast. Without hesitation, he kills the injured man in front of his brother, who is left completely shattered inside. Peter then tells Valerie that they must leave the village immediately. However, Valerie cannot stop thinking about the werewolf and refuses to go with Peter. Suddenly, Valerie notices that her mother has scratches on her from the werewolf's claws. But when she looks toward her grandmother, she feels something is not right. Valerie tells her grandmother that the werewolf spoke to her. Her grandmother asks why she didn't tell anyone, and Valerie replies that only Roxanne knows about it. Later, when Valerie goes outside to fetch water from the well, Henry approaches her and says that he knows she loves Peter and will not marry him. He then tells her that he does not want to force her into marriage. Valerie returns his bracelet, and Henry does not feel too hurt by it. At the same time, Solomon's men capture Roxanne's brother because he has been mute since childhood. They They suspect he knows something about the werewolf. They begin torturing him, demanding that he reveal the identity of the human werewolf. However, since Roxanne's brother cannot speak, Solomon's men lock him inside a steel box and light a fire underneath it. His body begins to burn, but Solomon does not stop. He keeps him inside the box for a long time, eventually burning him completely. After some time, Roxanne tries to save her brother by offering Solomon 4 silver coins in exchange for his release. However, Solomon refuses the offer. Roxanne then tries to seduce him by removing her clothes, but he also rejects this offer. Finally, Roxanne claims that she can reveal something important about the werewolf hiding among the villagers. Solomon then presents Roxanne before the entire village. There, she reveals the truth, that the werewolf once spoke to Valerie. Hearing this, Valerie also confesses that the werewolf told her that if she went with him, he would leave the village forever. Solomon concludes that the werewolf loves Valerie. Seizing this opportunity, he plans to capture the werewolf and, therefore, takes Valerie captive. Meanwhile, Solomon releases Roxanne's brother as promised, but it is too late. He is already dead. Seeing this, Roxanne is devastated. On the other hand, Peter learns that Solomon plans to sacrifice Valerie. He waits for the right moment to rescue her. Henry also offers to help save Valerie, as he is a blacksmith and can unlock her shackles. Peter agrees to this plan. They also include Father Auguste in their team so that they can free Valerie as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Henry is busy with his work when Valerie's grandmother approaches him. She tells him that she suspects he is the werewolf. However, Henry replies that when his father was killed in the cave, he remembered the scent of the werewolf, and he smells the same scent from her. He also points out that she lives alone in the forest, which makes him suspect that she is the werewolf. Hearing this, Valerie's grandmother leaves. Shortly after, Peter and Father Auguste attempt to evade the guards according to their plan, but Father Auguste gets captured. Solomon's men then bring Valerie in front of the entire village, dressing her in the signature red cloak. They believe that the werewolf will be unable to resist her beauty and will come for her. All of Valerie's so-called friends come to see her for the last time and openly express their grudges against her. Valerie is heartbroken to hear how her friends truly feel about her. Losing hope, she sits in despair. Time passes and night falls, but there is still no sign of the werewolf. Solomon's men hide nearby, waiting to ambush the beast as soon as he tries to take Valerie. Peter sets the place on fire to create smoke and obstruct Solomon's view of Valerie. Taking advantage of the situation, Henry starts unlocking Valerie's shackles. However, a guard catches Peter setting the fire, leading to a fight between them. More guards arrive, and Peter is eventually captured and locked inside the same steel box where Roxanne's brother was burned. Henry successfully frees Valerie and takes her to a meeting point where Peter was supposed to be waiting with horses. But Peter is not there. Valerie begins to suspect that Henry is the werewolf and pulls out a knife. However, Henry convinces her that he is not the werewolf. At that moment, Solomon's men arrive to capture them. An arrow from a bow strikes Henry. To escape, Valerie and Henry take refuge in the church, but Solomon refuses to let them in. Just then, the werewolf arrives and attacks the villagers. During the fight, the werewolf severs Solomon's hand. The werewolf then tells Valerie that if she goes with him, he will spare the villagers. Seeing the terror among the villagers, Valerie agrees to go with him. However, by then, dawn breaks, and the sunlight burns one of the werewolf's hands, forcing him to flee. Solomon then tries to take Valerie away again, but one of his own men stops him, reminding him that he has been bitten by the werewolf and will soon turn into one himself. The man tells Solomon that he has to kill him before that happens. Solomon protests, saying he came to protect the village, but the man reminds him that he had killed his own injured brother. With that, he executes Solomon. Valerie then has a vision in which her grandmother's eyes and ears appear enlarged. Suddenly, in the vision, her grandmother attacks her, causing Valerie to wake up in shock. Valerie then takes a basket with something inside and sets out for her grandmother's house. On the way, she meets Peter, whose hand is burned. He tells her that Solomon's men locked him inside the steel box all night, and he barely managed to escape. However, Valerie starts suspecting that Peter is the werewolf. In a panic, she mistakenly stabs him and runs to her grandmother's house to hide. There, she tells her grandmother that she has figured out who the werewolf is. Just then, Father Auguste arrives and tells Valerie that he had no choice but to kill her grandmother. At that moment, Valerie realizes that the true werewolf is none other than her father, Auguste. Auguste confesses that he never gained any respect or wealth in the village, so he went to the city and achieved everything he desired. However, he wanted to take his children with him, so he waited for the blood moon night. He had called Lucy to the city, but when he learned that Lucy was not his real daughter, he killed both Lucy and Henry's father. Since Henry recognized the werewolf scent and identified the same scent in Valerie's grandmother, Auguste had to kill her too. Auguste then tells Valerie that if she lets him bite her, she will also become a werewolf like him. However, Valerie refuses, as she does not want to become a monster. Just then, Peter arrives to save Valerie, but Auguste beats him mercilessly. Valerie then distracts her father and attacks him with a silver-clawed hand she had hidden in the basket. Peter and Valerie then dispose of Auguste's body in the river, ensuring no one in the village learns the truth. Since Peter has been bitten, he is destined to become a werewolf, so he leaves forever. Henry stays behind to protect the village, and no werewolf ever returns. One night, a werewolf appears before Valerie, and she realizes that it is Peter. And with that, the movie ends. So, if you like this video, please do subscribe to this channel.